Hey you, Star Citizen is massive, is beautiful, and sometimes it just fights you. And some of you come up with some solid quality of life fixes that'll make the verse feel much better to play. Let me explain. We saw some beautiful things at CitizenCon, but they didn't address everything that we kind of need right now. From opening ship doors while you in a hurry to fumbling with inventory mid-mission, there's a lot of things that slow you down in the middle of the action. They're not bugs, they're design quirks, but they do add up. Here's 12 small fixes from you guys in the community and myself that everybody wants to see. Number 1, when you're in the pilot seat after landing and you want to open up the back ramp, you don't want to open up every single door, panel, and cupboard that can be open on the ship. You're letting all the stank out the bathroom. I'm never the first person that'll suggest adding more bindings, but we need more bindings to specify just the ramp instead of turning the ship into an open house from every angle. Idris pilots have all at least once opened everything and flushed the Argo out the bottom of the ship like a real Munson. And back to those doors, the community's been asking for remote doors for a while now. I can't quite remember, but I think they said something about possibly integrating that in Moby-Glass, but I don't think that's what the folks have in mind. Standing around fishing through Moby with bullets whizzing over your head is more of a lateral move. We just need a single keybind to remotely unbutton the ship. And can we get locks on all the doors? Or at minimum, let us lock all the doors that lead into the bridge and cockpits. We'd be more likely to give a starving, stranded stranger a ride if we know they can't initiate a hostile takeover mid-flight. And we all done seen what you done did there, CIG. We went ahead and turned on the fuses for our ships. First time I found out was when my buddy Boom took a fuse out of his buddy's ship, who later complained of his ship not starting. Then Boom's ship turned off mid-quantum, and as we're trying to figure out the problem, he swaps out a rusty looking fuse with the stolen one. Ship cranks right up. So yeah, we can cripple each other's ships on a whim now. So we're gonna need even more measures once engineering fully comes online, because anybody can just pull the fuses out. But for now, how about that lock? Also, what happened to powering down your thrusters to prevent theft? That was an important procedure that not everybody followed, but those that didn't get GTA'd while inside buildings. But I see that steps are in development. There's door breaching and hacking mechanics being worked on. Some folks might look at that as another way for folks to break into their ships, but I see it as a new required process between the border and my bridge. A motivated pirate gonna find a way in, but at least they'll have to complete a minigame while you grabbing ammo out your bag. I don't really have a solution to offer here, but having a cha-cha slide left and right to get to the other ship system power settings is not the business. Even if you set up bindings to avoid all the mouse dragging, you still got to do that to get a look at your coolers and life support, which is kind of important when you're going stealth or wondering if you're going to asphyxiate. And what happened to the acceleration limiter? I mean, it still works, but there used to be a meter for it, just like there's a meter for the speed limiter. It went away after master modes, and I figured they'd patch it back in at some point, but they didn't. At least throw that in as a toggle option for the advanced HUD. Between all the different places we access the things we need, Star Citizen's inventory can feel like a tax form. Give us some better options here. We have search and filter in the shopping kiosk, and that's good. We have search in the star map, and that's outstanding. We need these things everywhere where items exist though. Inventory access kiosks, filtering hauling contracts. Actually, you kind of got some a little close coming for that. Nobody's gonna be mad at that one. And the assets manager for sure. The assets manager is a little backwards. Looking through the huge amount of locations we can visit for an item is wild. Rather than opening each location we visited and scrolling through pages of lists, a search for the item that shows us where it's located will make it light years faster to find those items we collected for wiki or the cooler we looted and stole before logging off. We want to search to find the item's location, not search several locations for an item. While you're in there, how about favoriting items too? We're at a point where it doesn't take long to have tons of armor and weapons, especially in our home residence. Being able to favorite the guns and armors you use most often for specific mission types will be really green, Billie Jean. I started writing this vid before quantum to ship was a thing, and that has been a huge quality of life update for a lot of folks, so we appreciate you for that, CIG Poetry Snaps. But it does break down sometimes. I don't know if it's been fixed yet, but bed logging will sometimes break that feature. Not sure if this has been fixed, but getting into 2 other ships will break it. So if you left the mothership in another ship, died, then grab a 3rd ship to fly back to the mother, you would not find it on the map. Sometimes you see your ship marker way on the other side of the star system, even though it's actually right where you left it. But maybe that's fixed if it's not.
Recall, you know what to do.
Hell, I wouldn't be mad if you gave us a locator beacon that's a redundancy. Could slap it on your ship and it'd work the same way as like a mission box. Could also throw it on boxes, loot, or anything and stash it anywhere and find the beacon, or even place it on some poor sap's hauler so you can let them fill up their ship and track them down later. Just make it big enough that a quick sweep of the ship would let the hauler owner find it easily and ditch it on a UEE military vessel for a delightful surprise. Small one, but the way it is now just don't make no sense. Why is sitting on the bed the default interaction? Most of the time, folks don't know what they talking about when they say all CIG has to do is X. But this time, yeah, just change the default to lie down, por favor. Whatever it takes, we need an overhaul to the Keybinds section of options. Really, you could apply this to everything in the options menu. Overhaul how?
Please, edify us, Doctor.
Well, we can start with a search function. Star Citizen has more bindings than a retro encabulator with 6 hydroptic Marsal veins, and you gotta go through these long lists of bindings only to find out that the one you're looking for is in a completely different section. It's too much, man! We just need a nifty search box so we can bind it and be on our way. We also need explanations for these names that are sometimes not intuitive enough to understand right off the bat. Perhaps a little pop-up that appears on a mouse hover. If I don't know what automatic precision mode is, I'm probably never gonna use it, but a quick description will fix that. I'm sure there's a lot of folks who don't know the difference between trim and cruise control. In the meantime, can you explain that stuff on the RSI knowledge base, please and thank you. So now we spawned it into our hangars standing on our feet. I really can't stand it. I don't feel like I'm part of or live in New Babbage anymore because I just pop into this hangar standing up. Some folks like it, but we'll get to that later. What I will say is this: we need the option to choose. If you need supplies like food, water, ammo, etc., 9 times out of 10, you're not about to take the elevator up, then take the train to the shopping centers, buy your gear, then take the train all the way back to your hangar. Nah, you just gonna say f it and take off to the space station above. Unless you're in Area 18, then you either gotta do the 2 train ride shuffle or fly somewhere else even farther for an ammo and burrito stop. How about spawning based on where we logged out? You know if you low on supplies when you log out for the night. So in those cases, it makes more sense to spawn in your hab the next session. You know, that apartment with the good view you used to have. Then you stock up and make 1 train ride instead of from the hangar and back. The solution is letting us crash out on a couch in our hangar. Or if you have a bed, even better. If you kick your feet up on the couch and catch some Z's, that's where you spawn next session. If not, then back to the city it is. It's convenient, promotes more use of the furniture and turning your hangar into a living space. You can keep it as Spartan dull as you want, or you can put those home makeover shows to use and zhuzh it up with extra Riz sauce for those Whitley's Guide and chill nights. I don't know if this qualifies as a quality of life improvement because the feature exists, but then it'll David Blaine out of existence every once in a while. But give us consistent bed logging, not bed logging when you're all alone and all the stars align, not in very specific circumstances. Give us bed logging all the time, no matter who's on the ship with you, no matter if it's your ship or your friends. Let us log back into our buddy ship so we can start where we left off without circling back to get picked up. And here's where I'm gonna lose some folks, but whatever. Bed logging should continue to function as a save point. Yeah, we saw you sweep it under the bed on ISC.
Is this even a thing? We've seen a hot take about bed logging not fitting the vision of what Star Citizen is going to be. Care to elaborate on what you're thinking about doing with bed logging and how logging in and out will look in the future? Is there a change to bed logging? Did I miss something?
I'm not sure what that hot take is, but we're definitely in favor of bed logging. In fact, in the future, we plan to give the player buffs for getting a good night's sleep in bed and have that be part of the game loop.
We don't want to exclusively gate logging in and out of the game purely to ship beds. If you log out in your ship bed, it's better than just logging out on the floor somewhere. Exploration ships, where you're supposed to be out long duration, will have beds and everything. But those sort of smaller, short-term ships may not have them anymore.
Eventually move to a system where you can log in and out on your ship whether you have a bed or not. We're working towards minimizing the impact of that. Is there a change to bed logging? Did I miss something?
We're definitely in favor of bed logging.
The announced bed logging on your feet wherever you're at is weak. I said what I said. And it makes having up to 10 to 20 meters of beds on your ship a waste of space if we can log off in the pilot seat. What are we playing, Elite Dangerous here? They don't have ship interiors, so that makes sense. We have everything from pizza oven style beds, coffins, barracks, some that look like it might be a water bed, to whatever else is cooking up. Going on an adventure without a med bed is a risk you might not come back from, but depending on the situation, we do it anyway because a ship without the respawn point is better for what you want to do at that time, so it's worth the risk. Same should apply to venturing out on a ship without a regular bed. Raise the stakes, CIG. Bed logging on your feet, you risk nothing going out in the Drake Golem or Prowler besides soiling yourself. Plus, how you gonna tell your girl, guy, or wife that you'll take the trash out after you make it back to base after she already looked it up and knows you can log out whenever? Also, I don't want to go to Jumptown and be surrounded by the org that all logged out around the building before the event started. Would you? Some folks will say, why should you get a free trip back to the station when you don't log out in the bed? There's nothing free about that. You lose your ship and everything that's not in your bag or body, and that's important, especially since claim timers will start matching crafting time, so nothing free at all about that. So keep bed logging as it is, except it needs to work more consistently, and it needs to get back to logging out when others are on the ship, and we should be able to log out and back in as a crew to cut that prep time down. I'll keep this short since I'm not sure how many folks actually use it, but the camera suite is, oh boss, Elite Dangerous Cam is more advanced than the Star Citizen Advanced Cam. They can rotate in any direction, detach the camera from the shipper character, and they can adjust the speed, man. For years, I've been scratching my head wondering why we can't. Dear CIG, as you well know, this is a dolly move. Relatively smooth, or about as smooth as I can get it without a proper mount. The reason I bring this up is because at one time during the PTU, we were able to get nice, smooth, slow shots like this. You know how much better the machinima would get if you combine the freedom of Elite's cam with the everything else in Star Citizen? Like at least this many's. There's some other nice to haves like moving the focal point independently of the camera for a dope rack focus, but that might be asking a little too much. I'm jealous of the camera moves I see from the video production team at CIG, and I want it all, Chico. But let's at least get some speed controls in there and toggle the camera attachment to fly that thing around like a drone and bump production values. Been seeing this one a lot lately. It's not hard to see why. When you're in combat and take cover to equip more ammo, there's a good chance you don't have a lot of time to do it before one of them runs up on you to give you the da-da-da-da-da. So you don't want to be clicking in 12 different spots to click the ammo you picked up from 12 different enemies. This has been addressed on SEL with the way too many things on screen at once concept. By the way, there's too much going on here. Do we really need to access every potential inventory in a room at once? If somebody walks in the room before you and misses that box tucked under the desk, you should be able to walk in behind him and grab it. Come on, man, loot the whole room at once. You don't have to look around and discover things anymore. Anywho, the new inventory ain't gonna see the light of day anytime soon, so folks will still want auto stacking sooner than later. Personally, I don't mind that much because I usually take the time to combine my mags before I hit the block and pull out the ICD. ICD means gun. But even doing that, it'd be really swell if they didn't have to be combined one at a time, especially since sometimes they do refuse to stack. Doesn't necessarily have to be completely automated. We should have some degree of responsibility to prep for what we want to accomplish, but a button to group all the loose magazines, med pens, empty water bottles for those of us who only litter every once in a while, it'd be a good thing. This is a quality of life vid, so I'm violating the integrity of this video by asking for a bug fix here, or rather a physics grid fix, but it needs to be said. Folks are scared to leave the pilot seat in quantum travel. It's almost a bad thing all over again. We have all this beautimous interior to walk through. When using it, during the best time to use it is inadvisable. Yeah, you might walk around your ship in quantum and nothing happens, till it does, man. The first time is like, all right, well, that kind of sucks. Then you relog because you stranded in space. Then the second time, when you got your cargo packed in or your nice weapons and armor you found, you fall out the ship again, you gonna be hot. And from that point on, you don't risk it. Even if the chance of not falling out is bigger than falling out, you gonna risk it? So now you're scared to get up, and the trip is at least 3 times longer when you have to spend it in your seat. No walking around eating, prepping your loadout, or setting your spawn. And what's that mean for engineers around the ship? It's a real problem. It's all about the little things that add up to deliver maximum verse pleasure. Fixing up even just a few of these will make the verse a better place to live in. So what I miss? What's your top quality of life fix? I did go a little longer than intended on the bed logging, especially seeing we already went and did a whole vid on it, which you can check out right here. I want to give a big heartfelt shout out to everybody that's supporting the channel, man. Wouldn't have been able to keep the channel alive without you. The Huntress, Lone Wolf, Eyes Open 2018. I appreciate you showing that executive love. Y'all the best. Patreons, YouTube members, super chatters, folks visiting the Boss Supply store. Big thanks, fam. Fly dirty citizens.